Okay, as you've heard, we've had an incident in Clinton Township that we're not happy about, but we have addressed it in a very positive way. We appreciate our neighboring communities and the County of Macomb under the direction of Mark Hackle, who is here and will speak in just a few minutes, for the cooperation that we needed and will continue to need because there's a lot of work to be done. The first speaker you're going to hear today is Paul Brower, who is the Emergency Management Controller for Clinton Township. And Paul has some information that he will give to you. Then we'll go to our fire chief, then to our police department, and then to other departments who have information regarding the company and the people who own the company. Paul?
Good morning. I'm Paul Brower, as the supervisor said. At approximately 20:50 hours last night, which is 8:50 p.m., they received a call of a fire and explosion at a business on 19100 15 Mile. It was a distributorship for gases and lighters and so forth that's used in the supplying the businesses around the area that sell marijuana. The first engine on the scene, since I was monitoring my radio from home, immediately called the second alarm, and shortly thereafter called a special alarm for 3 additional aerial trucks because the fire was already that intense. The debris that from the explosions is scattered over a wide area. We don't know exactly how far it is yet. We have people out in the field preparing to go in the field right now to start to gather that up. And the biggest problem is the very sharp pieces of metal. When the canister blows up, it doesn't blow on the seams. It blows very jagged. They're sharp. If the people happen to run across one, they can either pick it up or call us, and I'll give you a number in a minute to call to have that picked up. Our biggest concern is if any of the canisters were forcibly ejected from the building due to the explosions, they may still contain some form of gas. And we're urging the public to not touch those and to call the number that I'll give you in a minute so that we can send somebody out to recover that. On hearing the magnitude of the fire, I knew we were going to need additional resources. We're very fortunate in Macomb County that we have very good mutual aid amongst our other communities where we can borrow personnel and equipment to report to the scene in an orderly call-up fashion. Our police department has the same thing with memorandums of understanding with other police departments. So if we need help, all we have to do is call, and it comes in a timely manner. I was immediately in contact with County Emergency Management as well as Michigan State Police Emergency Management Division, Lieutenant Kedvertis. We put a incident report out on what they call MySIMS, which is the computerized information system that all emergency managers use. That makes available to us additional resources. It also notifies the captain of the division as well as the operations division and the governor's office. So that's how far up it went when we do that. The fire this morning is still smoldering. If you drive by there, you'll see some smoke. We had a couple of late explosions, nothing from 3 o'clock until about 7 o'clock this morning. So the debris pile still has a lot of heat in it. So we're waiting for that to cool off before we start sending personnel in there to start doing the investigation on the fire. And the fire chief can talk about that when he's up here. There was one injury to a firefighter. A piece of debris went through the windshield and clipped him on the side of his face. He's fine. He's been treated and released from the hospital. However, there was one fatality, a piece of debris that hit, as I'm told, a 19-year-old, and he has expired. There was a rumor floating around that the water has been contaminated. Our drinking water is absolutely fine. It comes out of pipes. It comes from a long ways away from here. The water is absolutely perfect. We also had the Macomb County Hazmat team do air monitoring last night with negative results. So the air is fine, and I'm also told that all the schools are open. So with that, I will yield my time back to the supervisor, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next, you're going to hear from our fire chief, Tim Duncan, then our police chief, and then from County Executive Hackle as to how the county is cooperating, as they always do with an incident like this. So, Chief Duncan.
So anyways, I just wanted to give my appreciation to all of you that were out this morning and for understanding some of the information is dynamic during the morning and throughout the night. So appreciate all of you, being there for us and helping us out and understanding that sometimes these things do change. It's amazing the amount of interest in this across the country. But number one, I want to give a lot of credit to our personnel on scene, fire department, the police department, our EMS personnel, everybody from the surrounding community. We basically function as a team, as a unit at the county level, and without the assets that the county helps provide from our local community, being the hazmat team, some of the DPW, some of the other personnel, we just couldn't do this. We couldn't handle this as well as we are right now. So we appreciate that outreach. Obviously, you've heard from me throughout the morning. Emergency Manager Brower obviously covered the bulk of what we need you to get out there, but obviously we want everybody to stay safe. The rain's going to provide some asset to us this morning as far as the scene, but it's also going to cause some issues with us getting in there to handle the scene. We do have some equipment going over that push some of the debris fill back. We had some damage to a few of our apparatus last night as I was over at the station this morning prior to this. They're in the works of getting some of our tires fixed so we can get our ladder truck back over there to help suppress the scene a little bit more to allow us to be able to open up the railroad tracks over there. So that's one of our main issues also, is get the railroad traffic going. Obviously, as we back them up, things get bad for them. So hopefully that's going to be imminent in the next hour to get that up and running. But just once again, just appreciate the outreach, everybody's willingness to help. We couldn't do it without everybody that's basically around here. So I will turn it back over to Supervisor Kiner.
Thank you. Chief, did you want to speak, or did you want your captain to speak? Chief Karinji.
Good morning. Again, yes, everybody did an outstanding job, responded quickly. Our neighboring jurisdictions also responded to help us with everything that we needed. If anybody comes across anything that they're unsure of, please contact the contact center at 586-469-5502, 586-469-5502. You can always call the police department as well, 586-493-7800, if there's any questions or concerns about anything. Additionally, we'll have our drone unit out to, when they're able to, once the rain subsides, just to check the area, rooftops, and different things that they can provide. The drone unit was pretty critical last night. They did a great job in finding and locating and directing the fire department to some secondary small fires that broke out in the area, so they were able to address that quickly. So any questions or concerns, contact us or the contact center, and we'll get anybody out to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Captain, did you want to speak? Okay. Captain Capola, Police Department.
Just want to say a brief bit of thanks to our multi-jurisdictional agencies that provide us some support, to include, but of course I'm not limiting to the Michigan State Police, Fraser Police Department, Sterling Heights Police Department. We had a number of federal agencies that came to assist us in conjunction with, as I'm sure Chief Duncan can provide additional detail about multi-jurisdictional fire agencies that responded. Both Chief Karinji, myself, Chief Duncan and his entire staff had the opportunity to set up a command post all amidst these exploding canisters raining down all around us and subjecting to multiple staff members potential peril, but we prevailed and were able to secure our scene and ensure public safety to the best of our abilities. So it's a great sense of pride, as I could be so honored to speak for the men and women of the Clinton Township Police Department in conjunction with our other police agencies and fire agencies for the job well done in such a perilous scene. Thank you.
Our Department of Public Works is, as we speak, collecting as much material as they can to be analyzed by the police department at a later date. In conjunction with that, County Executive Hackle, who is no stranger to things like this because he comes from police enforcement, is helping with whatever he can. So Executive Hackle?
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, Bob. And interesting, I think you recognized late last night what was taking place on behalf of the police and fire department here. So Tim and Dina, hats off to you and your men and women working for the agencies that responded to this. This is stuff that we train for, many law enforcement agencies throughout the entire county, even working in conjunction with emergency management. And obviously Paul Brower here in Clinton Township has had a history of dealing with these type of incidents and situations, but he also works in conjunction with the county, and Brandon Lewis from our emergency management, they got together because most people recognize what takes place early on. Police and fire responding to the scene, trying to figure out how they deal with whatever is present before them. But what people don't recognize, emergency management is also doing the work behind the scenes and contacting various levels of agencies, state, federal, making sure that we're getting a hold of the utilities if there's a need to shut them off so that they keep the other firefighters and police officers out of harm's way. And that was taking place during this particular situation. What was most intriguing, as much training as you might see out there, was this issue related to the shrapnel. And the explosions that were taking place inside the facility was not just being contained to the inside of the facility, it was being deployed outside of the facility. So the police and fire that were responding were under fire, different than the actual fire that was taking place. And obviously injuries were sustained and some damage to vehicles. But boy, that was incredibly challenging for those first responders that showed up at that scene. And I do think Bob would share with me, as well as everyone else up here, our thoughts and prayers and sadness to the family, friends, and loved ones, and the community of the loss of the life of the 19-year-old out in the street that got hit by one of those pieces of shrapnel. It's very sad to see something like that. It is something that we all recognize as part of the danger we do. But boy, having a civilian just walking the streets and getting hit by something like that, completely unexpected, and couldn't think of anything sadder as an outcome for this particular situation. So moving forward, we have committed to continued support to Clinton Township, Bob Cannon, and the entire team here on behalf of Emergency Management, Department of Roads, and even at the Contact Center with the calls that might come in. And to repeat that number that the chief had mentioned, 586-469-5502. If you happen to see something that looks concerning to you, please don't touch it. Don't pick it up. When in doubt, give us a call and we'll check it out for you to make sure that nobody else gets harmed. So thanks, Bob. Well done.
Thank you, Mark. I will be asking Paul Brower to apply for a local state of emergency later today. We don't know how much this is going to cost, but whatever the cost is, it's worth it, because we don't want our residents, our children especially, picking up any of these shrapnels, or even worse, some of the containers that are still full of the gas or whatever is in there. There's 3 different things that we think are in there. Now, how did we know that these things were in the back room? We did not. Our planning department, our building department have inspected the properties, and they were told that we were going to simply have things sold as a retail operation. This is a former Save-A-Lot store, and that's what we thought was going in, and that's what we inspected. Never did any of our staff or departments see anything like that. If you have any questions, we have Mary Bednar, Barry Miller, and Bruce Thompson, who can answer those questions as to the persons who applied for permits to do something that we thought they were going to do, which was legal, but ended up doing something that is clearly not only illegal, but immoral and dangerous.
Supervisor, can I ask you a question just based on what you said there?
Yes.
I'm sure all of us news outlets have reached out to, the business that's there. Have you guys heard from anybody at the business as far as what's happened here in your community?
The answer is yes, we have. Chief, do you want to talk about that? The answer is yes.
So there was 2 business owners last night that were taken over to the police department. They were interviewed initially by our fire prevention division as well as the ATF. So that information is obviously still out there, being kept as part of the investigation. So obviously the scope of this is changing as we speak, and it will be changing throughout the day.
Supervisor, you said, Mr. Cannon, you
Yes.
said you weren't happy about it. Can you get more specific about what you weren't happy about, and what is the legal ramification of having things in that building that they shouldn't have had?
Well, we would have, had we known the containers were in the back room, we would have issued violations immediately and worked to get them out of there through the court system. We can't just walk into somebody's back room. We do have inspections. And Barry, you want to come up and talk about that? And this is Barry Miller from our building department, who always makes sure things are done properly.
I appreciate it. Basically, when they pulled the permits for this was a storefront it was called Goo, with a back room for storage of product that they sold on the floor. At the time of inspection there were no canisters. The fire department's there to inspect quantities. There are allowable quantities for certain things you can put in those rooms. They did not exceed any of those quantities. Obviously, with what happened last night, they were well over what would have been allowable for that site. So at this point, obviously it's under investigation. Our police department, fire department will continue what they're doing. But at the time of inspection, they had passed. They obtained their C of O in September of 2022. Since that point, nobody from the township has been in that building for the purpose of inspections.
So to clarify, the only thing that sounds like that you were unaware that was in there, you knew the vape products were in there, but not the actual gas, the nitrous, the
Correct.
butane.
Correct.
None of that was supposed to be in there.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce, did you want to talk about Bruce Thompson, our planning director? He's the one who approved them going into this building, and he has some reservations about it, but what he saw was legal at the time.
Yeah, and thank you, Bob. And I can just kind of back up what Barry had indicated is that I think it was April 26th of 2022, I was approached by someone to start the certificate of occupancy process. The planning department is that first step. Is the use a permitted use? I made it very clear to the gentleman that a retail use was a permitted use, and that is what was signed off on by the planning department. And then inspection from the building department is part of that. So that I can confirm, as that was the use that we approved in the planning department, was strictly a retail mercantile use.
How much product was in the building that should not have been in the building? Do we
That
know?
I can't answer.
We really don't know.
Just an estimate.
Yeah.
We have estimates, but we really don't know because a lot of it's all around the township right now. It blew up. I mean, I live 5.5 miles away from the site. And after our board meeting last night, I went home and I heard it and I thought it was thunder right over our home. That's 5.5 miles away. So think about the people who were nearer the site. It was horrible. The ground was shaking. When our trucks were going to the site, the trucks were shaking. That's how bad it was.
So to talk about what was in there too, when would have been the next check? Would it have been possible for the city at all to go in there and check, or was this
Barry?
earliest instance to be able to check and make sure? Because obviously you guys, it sounds like we're unaware of any of that. Was
That's
in there.
correct.
Is there a yearly, an annual sort of check?
No, and from the building department standpoint, there is not. Once we issue a C of O, they're taxed as an owner of a building to follow the rules and regulations that they were approved to do. Now, I know the fire department does do annual inspections on some industrial buildings. This was not an industrial building. It was not in the industrial zoning. It wasn't meant for this. So I don't know if Chief could speak to that aspect of their annual inspection process. I'm not aware of how that works. But from the building department standpoint, we issue the C of O, and then it's on the ownership to monitor and follow through on their laws and ordinances as it's required in the township.
So anyways, this falling into, like Barry is saying, more of a commercial location, doesn't fall into some of the things would be one of our target locations that they want to certainly hit yearly. It's a challenge throughout the county for any prevention division, inspection division, and the fire departments to actually achieve getting to all the buildings they need to in a given year. Obviously personnel availability to get in. They have their days that are altered by fires, by other issues that come up. So they certainly put a great effort out. We have a very aggressive fire marshal and Chuck Champagne and his two prevention people with Jason Croft and Neil Wagoneer. So they do great work. They are in concert with the building department. And as you'll see, it's certainly a safer community in Clinton Township. Unfortunately, we had this one incident that we are unaware of. But this is going to give cause for concern and thought going forward. Something that we have to evaluate as a department, to obviously make this community as safe as we possibly can. Our initial report last night, as we had discussed a little bit this morning, was that they had recently received a semi-load of the butane containers. They had over half of that still left, and they also had pallets of the nitrous and then lighter fluid along with that. And then there was also over 100,000 vape pens that obviously have the lithium batteries that are inside of those. So that was an issue on the scene too. So that's essentially what we were told last night. So there was a considerable amount, as you see, and you were over there on the site this morning and seeing the debris filled. That was definitely an issue for us.
What was with the, sorry, Ron, just one more follow-up. You talked about the switchblades, the Batman knives. Why are those
So
sold there?
kind of like any type of storefront, which, you know, you'd have, this was a retail location, they're going to have certain things that they want to have appeal to a certain segment, whether it's the kids. These were essentially, some of them were set up with like the Batman theme look to it, but then there's blades that come out of the side. There were other knives that were involved, and obviously these things were flying through the air also. So that's why we have our group out there scouring the area, making sure that we can pick up everything we can find to keep that safe for the community. So we're worried, you know, obviously about, you know, kids walking through, anybody going through, damage to vehicles, damage to people. So they're on it, aggressively pursuing it. DPW has been great, certain big asset for us, and so they're going to be out there throughout the morning, obviously dealing with the rain, but doing what we think is appropriate to, you know, mitigate this thing.
Chief, what could be in there, what should have been in there, what shouldn't have been in there? You're talking about knives, were those acceptable? They just happened to be things that were getting thrown into the air? Obviously, the butane and nitrous, no.
Yeah, obviously the containers, the tanks, certainly no. You know, what somebody's allowed to put in a retail establishment along that line, left to that individual, you know, whether or not they feel that's something they should be selling. You know, certainly it's, when you have something like this come up, it's certainly not a safe item that's flying through the air, but I think, you know, without those tanks, we don't have this issue. So that's really the core of it, you know, the explosion, the amount of damage. Obviously, with the explosions, the walls, you know, that could contain some of this were wiped out right early into the fire. So we didn't have that protection there that allowed us to get in and suppress this thing, you know, right out of the gate. So certainly just extreme. I've never seen anything like this in my 25 years. Obviously, I hope the rest of my career I don't see it again. But certainly it's tragic, you know, like we said earlier this morning.
Can you talk about the 19-year-old within the realm of the flying shrapnel? I want to know more specifically about the 19-year-old, but also what your firefighters and police officers were facing in terms of the shrapnel that was coming at them and what killed this 19-year-old.
So obviously, when you first get to the scene and you realize the enormity of it, and just your vehicle a mile or two away shaking as you're approaching the scene, you're like, what are we getting ourselves into? So our firefighters are trained. We're an aggressive department. We see fire, we want to get to it, we want to mitigate it. Obviously, they're at a crossroads where they're like, this is not safe. We got in the car with our battalion chief, who did an excellent job. Matt Chernovsky handled himself. He was exceptionally controlled throughout the whole night. We made the decision early on, we have to back out. There is no way we can put somebody this close to the scene. Even when we're at a distance, these things are flying over a quarter mile away, debris filled probably over a half mile in every direction. So they're obviously, like Executive Hackle said, you're in peril. You are putting your life on the line for this. I'm sitting outside my car. You've got to make sure you got your helmets on. The police were concerned, so they wanted looking for their tactical gear. You're worried about things coming at you. Even with something on the top of your head, if it hits you in the chest, hits you in the face, it's going to kill you. And unfortunately, this 19-year-old who was virtually at least a quarter of a mile away from the actual building, one of the projectiles did hit him in the head, and he did make it to the hospital alive, but he succumbed to his injuries around 4 a.m. this morning. As far as name or anything, I don't have none of that to supply right now. But certainly, as we discussed this morning, you know, what can you say in that situation? If you had your family, you know, you'd simply go up to them, give them a hug, tell them you're sorry, and, you know, what else can be said? It tears you apart. You know, I got home last night for just a little bit, and just the adrenaline is just coursing, and just to, you know, work through that for all of our people is incredible. This will be something that stays with everybody forever. So obviously, I think you guys understand that. You run on this kind of stuff, not this kind of stuff, but similar things in nature. So certainly for Clinton Township, unparalleled. You know, I can't imagine anything like this that has happened.
Chief, can you say where the 19-year-old was this person walking, and where, in like what street, or was it on Rosebeck or?
So it was on the 15 mile. If you've been out to that area, there's a car wash that is right near one of the service stations there, and he was in that area over there. So, yeah, yes.
What are the penalties, I don't know if you can speak to this, Chief, at all, if that business is held liable for what happened last night in this building?
Yeah, I could not speak to that at all. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
supervisors or anyone here that maybe could?
Well, I can tell you right now, there's investigations going on as we are standing here. We will come back here at 4 o'clock and update anything that we have between now and 4 o'clock. And yes, there are going to be repercussions.
So we could see possibly criminal charges as a result of this?
I'm not going to speculate, but people have done things wrong, very wrong. And we don't like it, and we're not going to accept it.
And nobody's currently, is anybody currently in custody at this time?
I don't believe there's anyone in custody, no. But there are people who are being questioned at this time. Okay, we're going to stop at this point. We will come back here exactly at 4 o'clock if you wish to be here with any updates that we have.
Chief, one thing. There's canisters everywhere. Should those be considered still charged?
So as Emergency Manager Brower and Executive Hackle had covered earlier, they want people to leave those alone. Contact those numbers that they provided to you earlier. We have the Michigan State Police that have kindly offered up their service with the bomb squad. We're hopeful that there's not going to be an issue with that, but we want to take exceptional precautions in this matter. And so they're going to be on scene over there with our Fire Prevention Division to handle those. So as they come in through our ComTech system, they will be evaluated and mitigated at that point. So certainly anybody in the public, stay away from those containers and contact us.
And what about, thank you, one more for you. For those that, community members that maybe have damaged cars, houses, maybe even possibly themselves, and we don't know, what should those community members do?
Yeah. So obviously, you have your individual insurance. We would certainly like them to reach out and let us know about this because we're going to put that as part of the overall package, as Supervisor Cannon said earlier. That we're going to, looking for the local state of emergency. So we certainly want to know about any of the damage, and we're starting to uncover some of that as we've gotten on the scene, and Daylight has provided us some assistance. So certainly, please have them pass that along to the community here.
The last thing I will say then, Paul Brower wants to say one more thing, is how proud I am of our departments and our surrounding communities. They did exactly what they promised they would do when we signed agreements a long time ago. So Mark, thank you for what you've done. Paul?
Froze up. Sorry, back injury from 30 years in the fire service. I just want to leave you with this positive note. Our public works right now is out combing the neighborhoods, doing a grid search to pick up debris around houses. We ask the homeowners, if they can, to check their roofs to see if they have any damage up there. Shrapnel is, we'd like you not to touch it, but if you do, you can throw it away, put it in your garbage. The canisters, call the number 469-5502, report that, and we will make sure that somebody comes out and picks those up.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back at 4.
Sorry, Rob.